Hello again. Now, cash-strapped ANC is proposing amendments to the Political Party Funding Act. The party also wants the 100,000 rand annual disclosure threshold to be increased to 250,000 or 500,000 rand per annum. The organization has not paid its staff members for months. According to an ANC NEC document, the party also wants the 15 million rand donation limit for a single person to be scrapped. The governing party is also said to want that amount to be increased to between 50 million and 100 million rand. The Political Party Funding Act came into effect on April the 1st last year. The ANC says there's been a reduction in the capacity of political parties to mobilize resources for their activities and election campaigns. Now let's discuss this latest development with Minhaj Jeenah from the non-profit organization My Vote Counts. Minhaj, good afternoon. Your initial reaction when you heard this story, I mean, your organization, of course, as a non-profit, you've been campaigning very much for transparency around political party funding. When you heard the news now about the ANC wanting to make some, or suggesting that there should be changes to be made to the Act, what are your thoughts?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. To put it simply, we were appalled. Despite what the ANC might say, these attempts to change the law, to amend the law, are not attempts in the interest of people. They are attempts to weaken our democracy and to allow our politics to be further beholden to private interests. And I mean, these beyond what you just mentioned, Dan, the ANC is also going to propose that that donations that come from dividends and investments of political parties not be disclosed. Therefore, donations such as those from the ANC's investment arm, Chancellor House, who donated 15 million rand in the previous quarter, will not be disclosed. I think this will also create further opportunities for secrecy and nefarious influence in our politics. I think these two amendments really is a lifeblood of this legislation, and to remove it is to repeal the law.
So, I mean, we know it's still at a proposal, so you're feeling that that should not be considered at all?
I think it should not be considered. However, it seems likely that the ANC's NEC will adopt it and will take it to Parliament. And in all likelihood, at least the three big political parties, the ANC, the DA, and the EFF, will support this.
Yeah, the whole aim of this was for transparency and for people to know who's funding who. So you think if this kind of proposals are entertained, and as you said, some political parties might join the ANC's bandwagon on this particular issue, it will undermine the whole act itself?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, let's go back to the Constitutional Court judgment on the promotion of access to information in 2018. The judgment said, and I'll quote what it says, it said that secrecy enables corruption and conduces more to a disposition by politicians that is favorable towards those who funded them privately once elected into public office. Now, this is the prior judgment is the judgment where that is the root, really, of the act.
Yeah.
Deepening democracy.
Hi, Minhaj, are you there? Okay.
This set of legislation, to repeal this set of legislation is really to undermine secrecy. It's really an attempt to allow private interests, capital interests, to further hold our politics and have further influence in our politics.
Yeah, so Minhaj, I was just missing bits and pieces of what you were saying. Connectivity-wise, it was breaking. However, I got the gist of what you're saying. I mean, are there other ways, therefore, for parties like the ANC to mobilize resources? Because they are mentioning, from what we've heard at the NEC, that, I mean, it's been very hard for them to mobilize resources. And we know, for example, that the ANC currently is in trouble with its employees. It can't pay salaries.
Yeah, I mean, the ANC staff members had a press briefing earlier today, about a couple of hours ago. And
yeah, Minhaj, your network, sorry Minhaj, if you can hear me, your network keeps on breaking. Minhaj, I'm battling to hear you. You keep on cutting. I don't know if it's a connectivity, your bandwidth, it fluctuates a lot. It's a great pity because I'd like to hear a little bit more from you. We will try and re-establish the line with you, Minhaj. Apologies for that. I'm talking to Minhaj Jeenah. He's, of course, from the non-profit organization My Vote Counts. They are weighing in on the reports that the ANC wants the Political Party Funding Act to be changed, particularly those provisions of the Act that talk about thresholds in terms of contributions. They want, for example, the 100,000 Rand annual disclosure threshold to be increased to up to 500,000 Rand per year, and a number of other changes. Now, My Vote Counts is one of those organizations like the Defend Our Democracy organization, like the Helen Suzman Foundation, the Right to Know, that have campaigned very actively over the years for such a transparent political party funding act. And they are saying now they are rejecting any attempts by anybody, including the ANC, to undermine this act. Minhaj, you can hear me. I'm hoping your line is better now. Are you with us?
I can hear you. I moved.
Yeah, no, you're sounding much better. Yeah, I was saying, because it's very important. Are there any other ways for the parties to sustain themselves?
Yeah, look, on that, a couple of hours ago, the ANC's staff members had a press briefing, and the spokesperson rejected the ANC's logic that the act is stifling their ability to raise funds. The spokesperson said that even a month before the act was enacted, the ANC was unable to pay salaries. Therefore, it's not the act; it's inadequacies within the ANC. That's the problem. However, the DA has also made this argument last year that the act is going to limit the ability to raise funds. There are other ways, both to strengthen the sustainability of political parties, and our parties need to be funded, they need money, and also still maintain and broaden our democracy. The ANC, in their recommendations, are also attempting to increase the annual public allocations to parties through the IEC. So such a legislation already exists. Basically, public funds go towards the funding of political parties, and the ANC is asking Treasury to increase this. This is one solution that we can support. It does provide for more openness. It does provide for sort of collective and democratized funding of our political parties. The PPFA, the Party Funding Act, also makes provision for what's called a multi-party democracy fund. Now, the fund allows for donations from ordinary individuals, the public, as well as private entities, and those private entities that are funding parties. And I believe that if these private entities are interested in bettering our democracy, in deepening our democracy, this is where they should put their funds, not to parties where they can hold influence.
Yeah, so basically you're maintaining that the act must be left as is. It's good enough, there is nothing wrong. Any attempt to amend it or change it in any way as proposed by an ANC will undermine transparency and accountability.
Well, in fact, if anything, the two thresholds, 100,000 Rand minimum threshold and 15 million upper limit, needs to be strengthened. 100,000 Rand is too high for minimum threshold. The Zondo Commission shows us that individuals, political parties can be bribed for influence by 100,000 Rand and less. 15 million Rand is in itself generous and should be decreased.
Okay, thank you very much. Minhaj Jeenah from the non-profit organization My Vote Counts, weighing in on the report that the ANC's NEC now wants the Political Party Funding Act to be amended because it's affecting the party's pockets.